What's up, old school homies? Let's talk about why it's acceptable to copy the Fender Stratocaster. I'm not saying it's totally acceptable, but there's a lot of different lines to draw as to when you're copying it. So let's go through the history of it. In the 80s, we had a lot of competition from Japanese guitars. We started licensing Stratocasters to be made in Japan, so they sold for around $350, and American Strats were probably $900 to $1,000, so everybody just kept buying these Squires. I have one of them. There's actually a lot of them on the resale market because people bought so many of them that they outsold the American Strats, and it was the whole boom of, well, other companies are going to try to copy it too and change like one or two different things. And it happened that there was companies like Tokai and a lot of the Fujigen guitar court guitars. They're wonderful guitars. I've owned them and they're great. Samick guitars. These are all imported guitars that play pretty much just as nice, especially if you know how to set up a guitar. So what eventually happened was Fender did try to litigate against these companies in the 80s, and it didn't work out. It was kind of unfounded that anybody copied Fender, even though they're kind of the same thing. Like, it was like, how much the same thing is it? And they didn't win, and there hasn't been any more litigation since. I mean, probably on smaller, newer patents or something, but you can copy the original designs. Nobody stops you. So there's a lot of different companies that make the parts for a Strat, and a lot of these companies are licensed by Fender to make the parts. And that's kind of why I think the John Mayer Strat probably has the little cutout right here. It's so that they can change the original patent. Like, this company probably took a few millimeters off of the thickness of the body, and that's what changed its dimension to not obstruct the original patent. And the headstock is a different shape because they didn't want to. This is actually an American company at this point in time, the gold label ones. So it's harder when you're on US soil to copy another US company with the exact same parts, because there are other companies that put those parts out. So how are you going to buy those parts and put them on your guitar? It's embarrassing, right? And it's actually not. Every custom builder that you call on the phone and say, I want to build this guitar, what they do is they order licensed parts and they build you that guitar. And those are custom made guitars that cost even more than a standard Stratocaster. So consider that. I have owned one of those. I took it apart and sold it for $1,000.